Hi, this is Pamela from Animal Justice Emergence with the second part in how to organise your own group. In the first part, I was drawing on my experiences organising a vegan outreach group in Malaysia, which was my first group of vegan outreach. So you might want to check that out. Today you'll be learning how to organise your own group one way. When I returned to the UK, I was really excited. I'd gone vegan in Malaysia about 2 or 3 years before. I'd got most of my information off Facebook and social media about veganism and organising, so I was absolutely gagging to go to things like Saves and go to things like Cubes. I could not wait. I was really into things like Veganuary. I thought James Aspey, Joey Carbstrong and Earthling Ed were absolutely amazing. That was the attitude that I came to the UK with, and I wanted to do more because as an activist on things like catastrophic climate breakdown, the environment and human rights for all of my life, that's who I am. I'm an activist. So I was really looking forward to getting stuck into activism in the UK. The first thing I went to was a save. I went to quite a few saves, but I just didn't kind of really get it. I'm really sure about how effective this is, and it's so horrendous. I was staying involved and talking about media and stuff like that, and I was asked to help with the funding application, at which point I learned that Save organisers are paid, which is great for them and quite surprising for me, and that they get funded by some venture capitalist, amongst others, in San Francisco. Then I went to a few Cubes, and again, you can have an hour's conversation with somebody, having lots of questions and answers. Is it really helping anyone? I went to a few and I wasn't that convinced by what I was doing. I needed to be doing more. Then, Extinction Rebellion. That was just starting. And I kind of thought, well, that's interesting because they're talking about climate change and animal agriculture is a big part of that. They served vegan food, so I'm like, yes, maybe we can all sort of like veganise Extinction Rebellion. It didn't happen. It's a long story. I kept on going because I thought I can learn from the way that they're organising. And I don't really count myself as the best organiser in the world. I think whatever you do, you can always benefit from learning more. What I learned from Extinction Rebellion was kind of like a lot of things about how not to organise and how to have kind of like values. In Extinction Rebellion, I met a few vegans who felt the same as I did. I'd even talked to the organiser, Roger Hallam, about starting a vegan group, and he was like, yeah, go for it, within Extinction Rebellion. But then I thought, well, let's start one that's separate. So that's what I did. Got a few people from Extinction Rebellion who were vegans and who had similar concerns. Usual thing, met in a community centre, had some chats, decided to do some stuff, but we weren't really quite sure what we were going to do. One day, one of the members, he just shared something. I think he changed a McDonald's advert, which we were all super impressed with. I think I made the same mistake that I made in the previous group in Malaysia, which was having too many meetings. With organising, need to somewhat play it by ear, have enough meetings to get stuff done, but not too many meetings at the extent of actions. I wanted to do was more talk. The aim of the talks was always to inform the audience and to recruit people. I found the research was a great way to learn about different aspects of veganism, whether it's the language that we use or whether it's animal agriculture, so-called the animal death industry. Somebody was happy to run the stall if we went to an event, various local vegan festivals. We did House of Veg. We would contact various organisers of various festivals, explain what we were doing, and ask if they wanted to talk and if we could have a stall. It was all trundling along pretty well. We would also have recruitment talks. We had a load of students rock up at one point, maybe 15 or 20 students. We didn't quite know how to keep the momentum going. And the distances where people were at other ends of the city could be a bit problematic because people would often come to a veg fest or whatever from far away. We ended up with people who'd sort of like come from maybe 100 miles away, 100 miles plus, and wanted to be part of the group. So that was really difficult logistic-wise. And again, it makes me think local is the way forward. It was great though, because these really nice logos and flyers that you see, one of the group members is a designer. Well, he has a different job, but he wanted to design things, so that was great. He would edit and upload some of the talk, including Veg Fest. So that was really interesting, coming along to Veg Fest in London. Everything was trundling along. I'd even worked out a 5-year strategy. And then COVID. Just before the COVID lockdown, we'd done a local talk. This, I think, is definitely the way forward. Do a local talk, or maybe do flyering in your local area. You do flyering or leafleting or leaflet dropping into houses. You're going to get a really local group of people, and I think this is absolutely key. This is one of my big learnings. Local, 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 local. You need to get embedded in the community, as Ronnie Lee talks about in one of my other videos. This is really important for education and outreach and building a sense of solidarity. It's just a really great thing to do generally when we live in such isolated times. This is what I would do if I was doing it again. Really think about the community route, the local community route. It's all going well, and then there was the COVID thing. So obviously we couldn't meet. So I had to figure out, what are we going to do now? We could do stickering and chalktivism. Animal justice emergency is still going. The videos was one of the things I decided to strategically do, because I knew I could do the videos. COVID really provided the motivation to start taking the YouTube channel serious. What worked? It's very empowering to be with other vegans and try to create your own kind of activism, and thinking about how you can really use the talents of everybody, maybe get out of their comfort zone. It's a fantastic experience to do that. Whole outreach thing, one-to-one conversation, I am still not 100% convinced about that. But anyway, I think it's something that definitely can be done. And if you can do other stuff around it as well, that really makes a huge difference. I think doing it in a community context will make a lot of difference. Look for venues who have got events. Of course, now that's not going to happen so much with COVID. So I have to think about another way of doing that. Maybe it's YouTube, maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's somehow organising when the lockdown is not a lockdown, you know, when things have loosened up a bit. Building in a number of different things that we can do. Getting together in groups is really empowering, and designing what you want to do is really empowering. It's work, yeah, it's work, and you will again find out as the organiser that you're driving a lot of stuff, but it's worth it. And as I said, you can't really go wrong. I mean, that's a great thing of having a sort of self-organising group, because you're organising it yourselves. It may be all sorts of different things, and it's not wrong. It's always going to be a learning experience, which is great for you and everybody else. Recruitment is an interesting issue, but you can get a lot of things done, again, as Ronnie Lee says, with just maybe 2 or 3 or 4 people, you know, and then other people who come and support in different ways at different times. So it's worth doing. Just get out there and start. You may have to pay for your flyers to be printed, and you need to sort of maybe fundraise a little bit, but it's all very doable. And I think the great thing about organising is the more you do it, the more you learn, and the more, it's like any skill set, you build it up. You get away from your own personal vegan bubble. That is number 2 in the series of how to organise your own vegan activism group. There'll be more coming up. This is Pamela from Animal Justice Emergency. Please like and share. Click the subscription button. Together we can organise to stop the war on other animals.